According to the U.S. Tornado Climatology Report, over 1,000 tornadoes happen in the United States each year. Though we don't have many tornadoes in Idaho, and the ones that we do have are relatively low scale and not very strong, I believe that it is really important to understand the science behind these tornadoes because they do happen in the United States and they might be something that we have to deal with at some point in our life. Tornadoes are something that have fascinated me since I watched The Wizard of Oz as a little girl, and I've done extensive research on them, whether it be through books or movies, and then also to just further my knowledge, I've researched things on the National Weather Service and the Tornado Climatology Report and the NOAA. So I really do have an extensive knowledge of tornadoes and I really do love them. And so today I just want to share with you guys a little bit about tornadoes and the steps that are required to form a tornado and the things that need to happen in order for that tornado to be formed. Because tornadoes happen so frequently in the United States, I'm going to show you guys how tornadoes go from the wind on this side and just casual wind to forming this massive tornado, this massive funnel cloud by the end of the steps. So tornadoes, I like to think of them a little bit like when you have a really bad day and everything just seems to be going against you. You forget to wake up, you forget to turn your alarm off, so you wake up late, so then that makes you late to work, and then on your way to work you get a flat tire, and then at work your boss is just riding you all day, and all those little things just form to make a really massive, colossal, terrible day. And that's just like a tornado. There's a set of steps that have to happen in order for a tornado to form. So the first step in tornado formation is that there has to be a change in altitude and wind direction, which will cause the air to swirl horizontally. And this is what that will look like. You can see the red part is the horizontal air that's swirling, and it's still really close to the ground and hasn't peaked yet to form a tornado. This happens before the thunderstorms occur, so this is really just like on a casual day. You wouldn't even know that anything else is happening. And there's a lot of wind right now. That's one of the main things, the main parts of a tornado is wind. It's kind of like with a flood, you have to have water. With a tornado, you have to have wind. The second step in tornado formation requires a large storm known as a supercell to form in a cumulonimbus cloud. So a supercell, according to the National Weather Service, is a large, it's called a mesocyclone, and that really is just rotating air. So a supercell is a thunderstorm that instead of staying flat and blowing in one direction, rotates in a circle, causing a funnel to later form. And then a cumulonimbus cloud, I'm sure you've all heard that from the movie Up, is just a big, dense cloud where thunderstorms form. And you can refer to slide 2 if you'd like to see a picture of that. The third step requires warm air from the ground to rise and meet with the colder air that's in the sky. And so this will cause the tornado to start to rise and to peak up. And this is typically when the most intense weather will occur, such as hail and rain. And this is what that would look like. As you can see, the air is pushing the horizontal spinning wind up so that it's turning vertical. And that is the formation, the beginning of the formation of our funnel cloud. The next step is that the funnel of swirling air will just continue to pick up air, and then it will also start to pick up debris. And it can be 2 to 6 miles wide when it's picking this up, and this tornado hasn't touched down to the ground yet, so it's still up in the sky. And you can see slide 3 for a picture of this if you would like. And at this point, the funnel kind of acts like a vacuum. It's picking up dirt and debris, and it's starting to be that you can see all the dirt swirling in that rotating wind. When the rotating funnel touches the ground, it continues to just pick up air, and that's when it will start to really move and do the most damage. And this is when the tornado can be seen, and it's starting to touch down to the ground. And again, it's forming and doing the most damage that it can do at this point. And then once the tornado fully hits the ground, it continues to spin and rotate. And this is what a real tornado will look like. This is a pretty big, good-sized tornado. It's got a really nice shape to it, and you can see that it's dark colored because of all the dirt and debris that is in the tornado. So depending on the strength of the tornado, it can be between 1 to 110 miles an hour, or it can even go further than that and reach hurricane force winds. Tornadoes have really high strength winds, and they're ranked on what's called the Enhanced Fujita scale, and so that's how you can tell how strong the tornado is once it's formed. And they really rank that off of things like the wind speeds. And on slide 4, you can see the different wind speeds and classifications of the Enhanced Fujita scale. The strongest tornadoes are referred to as the finger of God, because that is the amount of damage that they can do. And so you can see on slide 5 a picture of some of the damage that really intense tornadoes can do, and you can see how detrimental it is to society. And then lastly, the tornadoes will eventually dissipate, and that's when the voracity stops, and the voracity is really the large rotation. So once the rotation stops, that's what really makes a tornado. So once it stops, then that's when the tornado will dissipate. And I like to think of it as if you were to drop a color of red food dye into a glass of water, and how it's really concentrated, but then it will begin to dissipate and fill the water. And that's how a tornado is. When it dissipates, it's really concentrated at first, and eventually the dust particles settle back into the air. So these are the steps that have to occur in order for a tornado to form. Some of these steps can occur, but a tornado won't form because not all of the steps have occurred. So I just want to again stress that I've stated and shown you all the steps that are needed to take place in order for a tornado to form. Many times the conditions for a tornado can be perfect to form, but they don't form. So these steps are what are required for a tornado to form, but sometimes all these steps can occur and a tornado still won't form. So it really just depends on the day, the wind, the altitude, and the thunderstorm that's occurring. Tornadoes are unpredictable and they're hard to judge. I know that tornadoes, they aren't very common in Idaho, but they are common in the United States, especially in the Midwest. So the next time that you see a tornado, whether it be on TV or whether it be in real life, I hope that you can recognize the complex steps that have to take place in order for such a magnificent natural disaster to occur. Thank you.